I'm recording.
All right. All right, everybody, welcome back. We have session 2 of our The One Ring campaign, The Paths of Oromë. Okay, now I'm live on mine as well. We'll go ahead and kick it off. My journal. East Gate. There we go. The sun has just set in the west, slipping beneath the waters of the Gulf of Lune. The sea, darkened now, lies calmer than it has in days. The rain and the winds have passed, leaving behind an atmosphere heavy with foreboding. As a band of adventurers arrives at Nevlon's eastern gate, seeking entry and bearing an ancient relic. Emerging from the wooded path that runs northeast along the liver room, Alun, Aerenduil, Finur, Hálmar, and Eldrin step onto a broad green clearing. The world is dimly lit by the gloaming light of dusk, with only the thinnest sliver of moon visible through the sparse clouds overhead. If they pause to look about, the company may notice others watching their return, mostly elves. Their curiosity is quiet but unmistakable. A few hundred yards ahead rises the eastern gate of the Grey Havens. To the left, warm light spills down from half-open windows, and the faint murmurs of deeper voices, dwarves most likely, drifts from a sturdy building just outside the gate. Its design is markedly different from the graceful elvish architecture of Nevlon. I'll go ahead and change your so there's Halathon. As you can you see my ping here?
Yes.
They must have made ping a default feature with version 13 because I deleted that module. Nice. Um, as you kind of walk down this gate, you're kind of met with that scene we saw before. There's two kind of towers rising a couple hundred yards ahead, and to your left, there's this orange light spilling out of the Dwarf House, and kind of on your right, all these other elves are kind of filtering out of the woods and so forth. And one of them is Halathon, and many others that you kind of set off on the quest to find this artifact, kind of heading to the west. And they're kind of looking at you as you walk towards the gate very slowly. I'll let you guys take it away.
Finur is as he walks, he's more towards the back of the party, and knowing that they were attacked, and seeing what he has seen up in the mountains, he is walking along at the back. And as the others start to look forward towards the gate, he is still looking back into the darkness behind them. And it's not until after they've gone past the dwarven house and he's kind of acknowledged a few nods and waves from a couple of people, he sort of knows that he starts to relax at all. He doesn't have quite the same reaction to this artifact as the others, in that although he sees some significance in it, to him he's not actually experienced it. He's got no link to it, not any cultural link to it, not any personal experience. So he's just hearing about a stone that has memories. So it's not so immediate for him, and he's got other concerns. He can see that there are people looking for this, but he's assuming it's because it's valuable. He's not seeing this as a bigger concern as the goblins he's seen. So he's less focused on the stone and more focused on thinking about how he's going to get Cirdan's attention onto these goblins. So he's a bit preoccupied and kind of watching the road behind.
And while he's watching the road behind, Aerenduil will turn around and notice him as they start approaching towards just past the Dwarf House, and assuming the dwarf, that Finur will be staying at the Dwarf House. I don't know if he's coming inside the gates of the Grey Havens or if he's expected to stay outside the gates in the Dwarf House. I assume he's staying outside in the Dwarf House, but you tell me otherwise.
I think Finner is assuming that he's invited in, but he hasn't actually had that confirmed. Like he would expect that's where he'll stay overnight, but that that he's got perhaps in an unjustified way he's assuming that he's got permission to enter on this occasion to give a message, but he may find out differently.
I just turn and I look at him, give just the slightest of smiles as he notices the dwarf finally kind of relaxing from looking back behind us into the dark, and turn back around as we approach the gate, walking with both Hálmar and Finur.
Hálmar,
Finner just
yeah, no,
relaxed entirely. He kind of nods back in a slightly wary way. Sorry,
no, you're fine. Hálmar is walking with the others, and he's been fairly silent this entire time, not speaking much of anything or about anything. And he, even though he knows Finur from their olden days, he is remembering what he saw after he grabbed that blue gem, and he believes it's something that it maybe is not, but it's brought up memories that he thought was long lost to him, and ones that he wished were. And he really hasn't said much, and he just plans on going and doing his duty to bring this to Cirdan. He doesn't have any necessarily thoughts of what this could be or any sort of expectations or anything like that. He has been inside the walls before. From time to time, he does not spend any significant time inside, except to sometimes he's allowed to have elvish books read to him, probably about certain things that he is interested in, which probably none of you know exactly what that is. But yeah, he is fairly quiet and morose on the way in, and he's just walking around, walking along with the others.
Finner's noticed that Hálmar is not talkative, and he has kind of cast a glance at him from time to time, and he looks a little concerned. But he hasn't pressed him on it, certainly not yet.
Finur, you
he's
probably
never-
the one thing you might notice, and he wears a glove over his misshapen hand, but you might be able to see. So all his injuries were after you saw him last. So you might see like some scars on his neck that he keeps mostly hidden. But it's possible, if it's completely up to you of what you've seen or that sort of thing.
Yeah. Okay. So Finner's definitely noticed some stuff there, but yeah, it's more the dwarven way to talk about this over an ale. So yeah, he'll be looking for an opportunity to do that.
And the two non-elves, so Hálmar and Finur, make me an awareness check there, please.
Just straight up.
Yeah. Hálmar, you notice Halathon come out of the woods, and um, he notices the three of you and Eldred in particular as carrying yourselves maybe a little bit differently than the rest of the elves that came back from this road. For those elves were all empty-handed and wrapped in a, a satchel. Aerenduil brings with him this relic, this ancient relic, and so they kind of start to all convene on you, and their mannerisms are nothing but polite, but they're suddenly kind of emerging from the woods. If you can kind of imagine them just seemingly materializing out of nowhere and rising from the mists of the evening to surround you. And Halathon says to both Finur and Hálmar, Aerenduil comes back not empty-handed as we are, but instead with 2 men and a dwarf in tow. And lots of the elves start to kind of chuckle, but it's not malignant. It's a little bit of good-natured ribbing. So either any of the non-elves can give me a courtesy, and I'm gonna let this flavor your introduction when you first meet Cirdan.
Oh boy. Like we
think
have to roll it, or we can't roll it.
You don't have to. You don't have to.
I'll give it a go. I'm just going to say that first thing Finur says is, Durin's beard, where did you come from? And kind of looks up and then kind of tries to gather himself a little bit. Wait.
Yeah, I shouldn't have rolled. Neither should you have.
Oh.
2 eyes?
But I've... Yeah.
Yeah, Hálmar.
I'll only count one of them.
I rolled one. So Hálmar, he looks up at Halathon briefly. Maybe they've had some interactions, but he really doesn't respond. He notices him, but doesn't say anything. Doesn't greet him. Doesn't do anything. He would usually at least give him a nod and a good day, sir, type of thing. But he's just so wrapped up in his thoughts, he might even seem like standoffish or rude, since he doesn't greet him.
I'm not sure mine counts as rolling an eye because my roll was favored. I don't know whether that still counts as rolling one for...
Well, I don't see yours as an eye, actually. It's a 5 and a 2. Oh, well, yeah, 5 and...
I think one of them did. I'll remove it. That's fine.
But the fact it was favored, I don't know whether we just ignore that set the lower die, but anyway.
You should, yep.
Okay, cool. So anyway, yeah, Finur tries to be polite, but he's obviously surprised and it makes him a little bit gruff. So he tries to recover, but it comes across as a little bit grudging. I think a 12's not awful, but yeah, it's not. It looks like the politeness is a little bit forced.
Halathon chuckles along with the elves and says, "I will stop my tongue wagging now, dwarf, for the leagues have been long, and you have not gotten any rest since you arrived from the Blue Mountains. We speak only in jest. Do not try overmuch to impress us." Go ahead.
I do not take it ill, Master Elf. I'm merely tired and was surprised by your sudden appearance. It's been a trying day. There are bad sorts abroad on the road, and our lives have been threatened this day.
And we'll kind of look at him, at Finur, and turn back to Halathon. Just try and bring some levity to the situation, noticing the slight faux pas of his accompaniment here of the dwarf and the human, and tries to make light of the situation a little bit. And says, "Well, it was a long trek back from the hills and the river, and for however long it was for us," and he looks at Finur, his legs make the trip twice as long. He just kind of smirks at you and puts a hand on your shoulder.
And Finur says, "Aye, yeah, heard that one before," and grins back.
At any rate, Lord Cirdan foresaw your arrival, and it is news, I suppose, that does not need to wait until the morning. I'm sure you are thirsty, Master Dwarf, and you, good sirs. Come, Lord Cirdan is inside. And he starts to head over towards the Dwarf House. And this would strike you a little bit odd, Aerenduil, that Cirdan would leave Nevlon in order to kind of go out to the Dwarf House and gather news from the road and news regarding this artifact as well. Anything else?
Not for me.
Not for
I
me.
would turn to follow Halathon.
I think I do have a scene for the Dwarf House. Let's look. Yes.
The one fun place in town.
The one fun place. So as you walk into this tavern, and again, the architecture is just completely different from the tall, graceful spires. And it's certainly not an ugly building, but it's squat, it's sturdy, it's squarish. And as you walk in, the smell of ale and the sound of deep voices you can hear. But also, here and there, deep in conversation, sometimes even somewhat heated, you'll see an elf. And you're greeted by one of Cirdan's servants at the door. And he says, welcome, Halathon. It is good to see you. Good sirs, Aerenduil, Master Dwarf. Lord Cirdan is waiting in the back. He's been expecting you. Please come.
Finur, son of Freron, at your service. And as Finur enters, he almost subconsciously, he kind of like pats this heavy, sturdy stone. Like he feels a sense of security just through being somewhere this kind of well constructed.
Yeah, and Aerenduil will follow behind him and instinctively just kind of duck his head a little bit, walking past the threshold of the door. Dip down as he steps inside and takes in, the sights and smells the ale and hears the, dwarves talking and laughing, smells roasted meats, and just looks at the warmth of the place and feels at ease as he walks in.
Eldrin kind of holds Hálmar back as he kind of enters and says, we are the only two men in this place.
Aye. I am not unfamiliar with dwarves, or elves for that matter. I will keep to myself and drink my ale, and that is what I will do.
If I had my preference, Hálmar, I would do the same. Unfortunately, it seems that these circumstances have forced themselves upon us, but if it is what you would want to return to the woods in your quiet life, I suppose we can make that happen. But for now, let us hold counsel with this elf. I am interested to hear what he has to say, for I have my own thoughts on the matter regarding this artifact. I guess a nail will loosen my tongue.
Cirdan is old, they say, and he certainly is wise when I have spoken to him. He will know what to do with it. We should not bother ourselves with such trifles. It is for the immortal and those much far, far wiser than men to decide.
I agree in part, Hálmar. But only in part. We will speak more later. Yeah, they kind of like, as you kind of walk into a bar, you kind of disappear into the crowd. And Halathon and the servant are leading the four of you back towards Cirdan, and he's in the back room. And as you walk in, it's almost this scene like, when the hobbits met Strider at Bree. Cirdan is in the back. There's not smoke around, but he has a ornate kind of green cloak up over his head. And as you walk in, he puts that down, and others are around the table, and he stands.
I was just going to say, actually, before we go into the back room, Finur is going to make the traditional dwarven barroom joke. As we go past the bar, he'll sort of say, "Bartender, 3 ales! What are the rest of you having?" And there's just a sort of polite chuckle. It's not considered funny, but it's like almost like a traditional joke. Someone coming in off the road.
Yeah, one of the dwarves, already well in his cups from the back, is kind of leaning to the side, and he yells out, "Only 3, Finur? It's good to see you down from the Aerenduil. Are you ready to lose the rest of your silver this spring?"
I think I'm ready to take some of yours.
He laughs, and it's an old dwarf by the name of Bofkin. And he's well known to eat in his cups most of the hours of the day. He hangs out at the Dwarf House and is basically a fixture there.
Excellent. So yeah, I'll exchange a few words with him, and then we'll head through into the back room.
Any other role play as you kind of walk into the back room there?
Lindenwool is walking in, and he kind of chuckles at that little exchange that Finur has, and he's looking around. And as we're walking into the back room, does he recognize Cirdan right away? Know that that's him in here?
I think he would, yeah.
Yeah. As Aerenduil walks in, and they start walking towards the back, he's laughing, at Finur's joke, and then he suddenly stands up straight, and he has a serious look in his eye, and his face, his smile kind of goes away. He leans over to Finur. It's Cirdan. He's here in the Dwarf House. What? Why would he be here? No offense.
Finur looks up at him and says, "No, I agree. It's unexpected. I'll let you take the lead."
And Aerenduil looks around when he says that. Like, wait, are you talking to me? Of course, I'll take the lead with one of my kinsmen, but I'm just surprised that someone. And as they walk in and they're getting closer, he gets quieter and quieter because he's surprised to see Cirdan outside of the city, in the Dwarf House.
Cirdan is quite polite and rises when you enter the room. Surrounding him are other elders and counselors that you may know among the wise who make their home in Nevlon. And one thing you notice is that Cirdan's hair, he still has a little bit of kind of darkness at his temples, but his hair is long and gray and pulled back neatly behind his neck. And he's almost half of a head taller than all the other elves around him as well. He says, the first age again rears its head, and the young bring tidings. Welcome, Aerenduil.
Yeah.
Finur.
Aerenduil walks in while he's, greeting us, and immediately, makes a slight bow, and he looks at the rest. Lord Cirdan, lords, and he looks at all of them and acknowledges them, and just immediately reaches into his leather pack that he has strung around his back and pulls out the stone that was covered in a cloth and looks for the nearest table for Cirdan and walks up somewhat sheepishly and sets it down for Cirdan to unwrap and look at without saying anything. Your lord, this is what we found.
And my lord, may I introduce our friend Hálmar? And Finur, again bowing low, indicates Hálmar.
Yeah, Hálmar also bows. Thank you, Finur, but I know the great lord. It is a pleasure to see you once again.
Finur looks genuinely surprised.
You want to try that courtesy again there, Finur?
I hope it goes better this time. Okay.
Oh, God.
Jeez.
Oh my god.
It's not an eye, though.
No, I don't think
It's
either.
just
of
a
those
one.
are. Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay, I forgot. It's favored. It's just a failure.
So
Yeah.
much better.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Yeah.
is.
So Finur just looks a little clumsy and uncomfortable. He knows he's very dusty from the road, and and this is someone genuinely important. And now he's feeling a little bit sort of like off balance because Hálmar knows him, and he's just kind of like everything about this is unexpected, and he just feels kind of grubby and unprepared. And elves always make him feel a bit like that, and he's just coming across as a little bit ungracious.
Cirdan takes the artifact as you kind of put it on the table. It starts to kind of faintly glow and pulse, and he doesn't necessarily touch it with his bare hands, but instead leans over it with the blue glow illuminating the sharp lines on his elvish face. His hair kind of almost touching the artifact, and he sits back. He looks at a lot of the counselors, and then he looks to Aerenduil and Finur and Eldrin and even Hálmar, and he says, the four of you did very well. And I think you should count yourself lucky. How do you feel, each of you? Have you been visited by thoughts, feeling, images that come unbidden? His left eye kind of crooks as he asks that question to the elves, certainly, but to the dwarf and men present in particular.
Finur just no, my lord.
And Aaron will look at him. I saw the same images as our kin, my lord. We were set upon by bandits, men who wanted the stone. It was almost as if they were purposefully looking for it. I don't know if they thought it was treasure, if they knew of it as being something else, something we were not aware of, rightly so, but they definitely set upon us to take it. It was a small skirmish, and we were lucky to leave there with only minor wounds. But again, the visions I saw were the same as the rest of our kin.
Bo, question. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but we deduced that they were Easterlings, correct?
Yes.
I don't think we deduced that all of them were. That it was just that their
Well, yeah,
leader
the
was
leader, the
The
Balos.
leader. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't expect the people we fought were, but yeah, Hálmar looks down in his cup of the cheapest beer they have, and he takes a drink and, oh, my lord, yes. When I found this rock, I fell upon the ground and stumbled upon it as if it was destined to come into my hands. And when I held it, I think I saw images of my past. I'm not sure. I've told you about them before. I'm assuming he's maybe told Cirdan what happened because he's asked him, to help him research what might have happened or whatnot. And he says, and I don't know if it was some foreboding or cursed trinket, but regardless, I hear that the man that sent these bandits was far from the east, further than from where I am from, where I hail originally, on the river running. An Easterling, they call them. Seems strange. Most men don't travel so far, my lord, as you know. He just bows his head.
Cirdan, yeah, leans back in his chair.
When he says that, Aerenduil will raise his eyebrow. Can I check to see if I know anything about Easterlings?
Yeah, lore.
Because I'm kind of young and they don't fall in my wheelhouse, but I just want to see if I know anything.
Yeah, and I assume Hálmar doesn't really know much besides they're from
Hey,
over
hey!
that way. Oh my goodness.
Oh, that whole Eye of Sauron and a one combo seems.
Oh, that was favored. That was favored.
Was favored.
I keep hoping for that eye.
The roles are going to turn around, right?
I know, as a bookish boy, yeah. I mean, you spend so much time, probably from a young lass of 100. You've been looking at maps and looking at the Misty Mountains and wondering what's east of that. And then you found some with Greenwood the Great, and you wonder what was east of that. And then you saw Erebor and Dale, and wonder what was east of that. And eventually, you found a map that followed the river running all the way to the Sea of Rune, and at one point, you remember Cirdan saying to you, how many nations do you think there are, west of the Misty Mountains? And you gave some answer. And he just says, do you know that there are just as many east of Greenwood the Great? And yet our people hold no sway there. And that, as always, just left you with an air of mystery. But you know that people are from far enough east. You know that a lot of the humans there, the men there, were not among the Edain. They never crossed the mountains and never went to Beleriand. They've been under the Dark Lord's sway, like off and on throughout all of history. So it's kind of a war-torn, often place and spots, but there have been some bright things come out of the east from time to time.
Wonderful.
And Finur will, one of the ways I'm going to express his sort of poor courtesy role is he kind of blurts out his news a little bit, which he says, and also, my lord, there are strange folk abroad on the road, not just the ones that ambushed us for this, but others, perhaps related, perhaps unrelated, but men of ill aspect, and also up in the mountains near the home of my kin, there are goblins in increasing numbers. I feel that there is something on the move, a darkness. And then realizing he's kind of blurted this into the middle of something else, he kind of says, "My lord," and bows his head and kind of steps back.
At that point, one of the elves that you notice from outside kind of goes into the room and says, "Excuse me, my lord. Aerenduil? Master Finur? What are we to do with the prisoner outside? He says that he is hungry, that he needs to relieve himself." And Cirdan raises his eyebrow. "Prisoner?"
One of the bandits that sought to take this, my lord. He surrendered and we took him prisoner. Perhaps he has something to share. He claims to know little, but perhaps what he does know could be of use.
Has he been forthcoming whatsoever?
He has, though, as I say, he claims to know little. He has told us a little of the man from the east that they work for.
Nods. At that point, he kind of looks again at the shard and looks at each of you in turn. "What you have told me have confirmed my fears. Shadows are again rising in the east, and ancient powers are growing again in strength. A power that I will not name here, as the sun has already set, but I do think that this council will need to meet again in the morning. Under the brightest light of the sun, I think our council will be more wise, but for now I must take this thing into my chamber and study it. For now, eat, drink, rest, bathe. Each of you are welcome inside the city. Our home is yours for now. I will look into more of this artifact, and we will hold council at the High Square tomorrow at noon. Thank you for bringing this to me, Aerenduil."
Yes, of course, my lord. It was our first thought, of course, to bring it to you. We knew your counsel would be important, and your knowledge of this, your awareness of this would be important for the city itself, but also for the people under your care.
Very well. Then I will take my leave and leave you to your business. When the sun is highest, at the High Court. And he leaves.
He leaves. And as soon as he's gone, Finor breathes a sigh of relief and says, And now let's wash the dust of the road from our throats." And he picks up an ale and basically downs it in one. And then he picks up his second ale and sits down to enjoy it.
Aerenduil will pick up one ale, using both hands, holding it, both hands on each side of the cup, take a drink out of it, and then look at Finur. "You know the order to bathe was directed at you, don't you, Master Dwarf?" And then he takes another sip of his ale.
I do, but I don't think anyone civilized would expect a man to wash the dust of the road from his body before he's washed it from his throat, now would he? And he gives a broad grin and says, "But I must admit, yeah, a bath is will be has been well earned and will be much appreciated." And he looks across at the bar and says, "My coin is good. Would you be kind enough to run me a bath?"
Of course. A bath it is. And the rest?"
He looks across at Hálmar.
Yeah, Aerenduil just holds up his cup to show that he's satisfied with what he has.
Yeah, Hálmar, yes, a bath, certainly. If I must stay here, I do think I should be getting back, but I have not much coin to spend here. But I will take a bath if I must meet again with the Lord on the morrow.
And Finor says to him, "Your coin's no good here, lad." And he says, His drinks are on me," he says to the bar. He says, "It's been a lot of years and you were very silent on the road, Hálmar. We should talk. I can see the years have brought you some woes." And he looks across and kind of makes a move down his cheek as if tracing on his own cheek the line of where there's a scar on Hálmar's.
I suppose you could say that.
Hands him his third ale and sort of says, "Here."
He takes it begrudgingly. I don't need your charity, good friend.
"Don't you dare call it charity. That's friendship and you know it." And Finor looks quite serious.
Grumbles slightly, but just nods and looks down into his cup.
And Aerenduil will, holding onto his cup from both sides with both hands again, take a drink of the ale and finds a way to get comfortable and sit down. And of course, I won't miss the chance to hear the stories of two esteemed veterans of the Battle of Five Armies. This is exactly the kind of night I was hoping for. Battle with bandits and war stories from two veterans. This is exactly what I needed. And he kind of sits down and wedges himself between the two of you.
Aye. This lad and I fought back to back. It was a tough spot. But there was no one I'd rather have had there. And he claps Hálmar on the shoulder and said, "But it isn't that battle those scars came from. Have you been in more wars since, Hálmar?"
Just a war that I fought by myself, unfortunately. I'd rather not speak of it. It's just how I came here, and I just will say that my family has perished, and it brings me some woe. He coughs. He says, it's just better left unsaid and unthought of. Let the ale wash away the poor memories. This is what I thought I saw when I grabbed the stone, as I do not remember everything that occurred, only the aftermath and my sorrow. Just takes a drink.
"I'm sorry to hear that, my friend. That is a burden that no man should have to bear. Well, here's to better times, and to good friends from those times." And he holds up his ale and toasts, "And to newer friends, just as good." And he holds his tankard out to Aerenduil.
Aerenduil meets his tankard and looks at the dwarf. "Did you really not have any visions? It seems both Master Hálmar and I each had visions, as well as the rest of the firstborn here. I wonder why you're different from this."
"Well, we dwarves are hard-headed," and he gives a big grin. "In truth, I know not."
Aerenduil just raises an eyebrow and nods and takes that as the likeliest of answers and takes a swig of his ale.
Finor sort of nods a goodbye to Halathon and Eldrin.
Yeah, and Aerenduil stands up and turns to kind of give them a polite nod as they walk out, acknowledge them, and then turns back around to the table and sits down again.
"It's a strange thing, so what did you see?" Something about ancient times? How did you know they were ancient?
Okay, Bo, I'm going to need you again for this. I didn't see anything ancient times, if I recall. That was what was written on the stone.
Oh, okay.
What I saw. Well, I guess I could do that in character. Yeah. No, Master Dwarf. As far as ancient times go, it was written on the stone in the elvish language. What's the name of that city? Himring. Himring. Yeah. Mentioning Himring was on there. I know it purely as a historical location. I'm not completely familiar with it, and I fully intend to delve into its history as soon as I get an opportunity. But as far as the vision goes, it was similar to the rest of my kin, I believe, from what I've heard. And that's where you're going to have to remind me, Bo. What was it that we all saw again? It was flames, fire.
You saw images, and I think you killed your lore roll when you did this. They wouldn't know this, but you saw images consistent with the ancient stories you saw of the Dagor Barakalak, or the Battle of Sudden Flame, where Morgoth broke out of Thangorodrim, his prison he'd been in for 1,000 years, and basically just kind of made lava run over half of the land of the elves.
That's what I saw, was lava running over the elves. And okay, so I explained that, and in fact it was ancient history. Not just the location, but that whole aspect of it as well, that as a player I'm not completely familiar with, so I can't go into detail. But yes, I explained that situation.
And does that mean anything to Finur? Is it the first time he's heard anything about this, or is it any kind of vague idea? Because he's not great at lore.
You can do a roll if you'd like to, or you can just roleplay it.
Yeah, I'll do both. Yeah. So I've not heard tell of these times, and even these names mean nothing to me. I suppose they must be from the land that sank beneath the sea. Ancient indeed. Well, these things are more tales of your people than mine. But if the old times are walking just as the shadow rises, that seems quite a coincidence. I have a nasty feeling about all this. Ugh. And as if to wash a nasty taste from his mouth, he takes a big gulp of ale and kind of savors it and closes his eyes and lets it kind of go down his throat. I think I'm going to enjoy that bath.
I'm not quite sure the purpose for me seeing this vision. It obviously was a time well before, of course, any knowledge I would have. I only know it through my studies. But what it means, what it portends, I cannot say.
I've heard some of your kin some of your people are exceedingly old. Will any of them be old enough to remember such times?
Well, I'm sure Master Cirdan will be very aware of what's happening and what it means. I believe he may have even been in the light of that time.
Oh. Well, then we've come to the right person. Anyway, I think we should take his advice and speak a bit more only under the light of day. Well, Hálmar, there is much we will not talk about. It grieves me to hear of your sad tidings. What have you been doing of late?
Felling trees, moving wood. A simple life for a simple man. My axe only chops wood these days, except the day past, which grieves me terribly to have to take another life, especially a human life.
We did not cause that conflict. We merely defended ourselves.
Blood is blood. Especially when it runs red and not black from the goblin. A goblin is a goblin, but a man is a man. Can they not be redeemed? Can they not find good in their hearts? But now his life is snuffed out, and it will never be, because of my hand. He is nothing.
Your hand was raised to defend yourself. It was not raised in anger or malice, merely in defense. Don't blame yourself for this, lad. What happened to him he brought upon himself. It is good that you cannot so easily dismiss a death caused by your hands, but neither should you grieve over it overmuch. Guilt where guilt is due, not where it's not. There's enough sorrow in this world without bringing extra on yourself.
I suppose. Still, there was certainly anger. I feel it often, but it is hard to explain. I do not want to hurt others, as you say, but perhaps you are right. I am overthinking it. It has just been long since I've donned my war gear and set out. Ever since that fateful day that you and I fought shoulder to shoulder, side by side, back to back, I promised I would never don the tools of war again, and I feel that something is calling me to do just that. And it saddens me.
That it should do. Times of war are sad times. Of great tales, and he looks across and nods at Aerenduil, but sad to live through. You know, when all this, whatever it is, blows over, lad, you should come out with me on the road. Go back and see some of your kin out east. See some of mine. See some of the places we travelled in these more... He was about to say more pleasant times. These times that have been until late more peaceful. And hopefully will be again.
And Aerenduil will look at him when he says that. And there's no need to believe that these times won't be peaceful. Simply one incident with bandits who wanted a treasure, thieves. We defended ourselves and did what we had to do to protect our lives. But that's no reason to stretch it out into something grander or more devious than it needs to be. These might still be good times. Let's not worry and think the worst about them.
They might yet, but I've seen more men of this ill aspect about, and I have a sense of foreboding. There's a sense, what you elves might call a growing shadow on my heart. A sense that all is not well in the world. Perhaps I'm just growing old. And then he pauses and thinks and says, No, did not the great Lord Cirdan just say that there is... But then he also said not to speak about it except under the light of day. Well, we should speak more on it tomorrow, but I believe that he feels the same as me. I've never wanted so much to be proven wrong, but I do not think I am.
Maybe it's just my disposition to want there to be light, to want to see the better in the world. Who knows? I just hope that none of this leads to any kind of treachery.
Aye, and it speaks well of you that you do think that way. And then, as he says it almost unconsciously, his eyes stray across to Hálmar, and he looks a little concerned. Says, perhaps we should all have those baths. Well, those that need them. And he looks across at how presumably unruffled Aerenduil looks, and then looks back at the barkeep and says, "Tell me when that bath's ready, will you?"
Aye, will do. The wood's on. The billows are a-blowing. Give me 10 minutes. Would you want another ale?
Oh, twist my arm, but yeah. He gives a broad grin.
Twist
one
your
each
beard,
for
I
my-
will.
One each for both of my friends, but I'll only pay for the else if he holds it properly. And he gives a broad wink to Aerenduil.
Aerenduil will laugh at that. Hold it properly. I have no idea what you're speaking of. And he lifts up the tankard he has with both hands and takes a drink of his ale.
Fatty
Resting
Bofkin
that-
at this point is just trashed, and he's looking. Is that elf gonna take a bath with you? With the elf with a dwarf and a man?
That's a dark imagination you've got there. He goes, but I must admit, the elf does hold his ale like he's caressing a fair maiden. And holds up his ale to the room in a toast.
Hálmar looks over to Finur and says, Cirdan did say it was dark times. And you kind of get some of that old humor that he used to have. And that certainly is dark.
Aye, there's dark times and dark times. I don't think we want to go that dark, lad. He goes, besides, I've got a lot of road muck to wash off me. I don't need yours in that bath too. He goes, oh, but by the sound of it, what's his name? He says, oh, Bofkin will have you in his bath.
I think rinsing off in that river would have made you cleaner than taking a bath in your own bathwater.
You talking to me or to Hálmar?
Yeah.
Everybody.
And he sort of looks and this goes, well, maybe I need a second bath. But it's going to be alone. He looks across. Yes, I don't know what Bofkin's been up to recently, but he's got a wild imagination.
Well, speaking of that, I believe I will go soak and then retire for the night. I am not much for ale these days. It makes me drowsy.
You see, you need to spend more time among the dwarves. You'll be back able to take your ale in no time. But for tonight, of course. And during that sentence, his expression changes from teasing to a look of sort of genuine sympathy. Have a good night, lad.
And Aerenduil will stand up, and he'll set his empty tankard down. And he'll look at the two, the man and the dwarf, or give them a nod. Well, I'll see you two in the morning then. In the light of day, we shall discuss this further. You, Master Dwarf, enjoy your bath.
That I will. And then he looks across to Bofkin and says, alone.
And I'll make my leave now. I have a little walk home still, but I will see you in the morning.
See you in the morning, Master Elf. Rest well.
And Aerenduil will nod and walk out the door. He'll duck again to get out the door and head into the city towards his home.
Okay, so night falls. You guys can describe as much or as little as you want of your evening and what you want to do the next day. You know, you have the rest of that evening. You have until noon the next day to wander Mythland and do any tasks you want to do before having a council. The council will be in the high square. Let me take a pic to see if I can pop a picture of that up. So it'll be at a place looking about like that at noon the next day. In the distance, you can see Cirdan's tower. That's where him and his closers, advisors, kind of have their closed meetings. And you should be able to click on any of the map notes there, hopefully. Hopefully you can see them. And be able to look at art and stuff like that. So I'll let you guys roll.
The icons, you mean? Stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, that opens journal entries. Cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so Aerenduil will make his way down the street, down the pathway, and on his way to where he lives. And he'll notice people walking by, the elves, walking by in the evening, in the waning hours, going to wherever it is they're going. And as he gets closer, he realizes the lights are still lit, candles are still lit, and there's a warm glow coming from the silver quill, the white quill, which is kind of a guild house that he studies at some time, and he decides to spend some of the waning hours of the night just kind of looking to see if he can find any information about the historical relevance of the vision he saw. Just kind of doing a cursory look, gathering stuff for further studying at a later time.
Yeah, give me a lore. And it will be an inspired roll if you choose to use hope. Just from that wonderful role play you guys had the last 30 minutes. If you choose to use hope, it's doubled. But if you don't, it's just kind of a regular roll.
Can you say that again, Bo? What are we rolling?
Whoa!
Yeah,
He was rolling lore
Oh, gotcha.
because, like, he went to his bathhouse, his elf gay bathhouse, to research.
Yes.
And then he's researching at the quill, at the silver quill.
Yeah, it's a scholarly house, a scholarly guild.
Yes.
And I did use a hope because I was just, a little bit of, lightheaded feeling from the ale, and my hopes are up on this idea of an adventure. So I was motivated to, look into the information. I was too eager to wait until morning, and I decided to go in there while people were heading towards their homes and turning in for the night. I decided I wanted to, too eager and wanted to find out more about this information as soon as I could.
So you learn pretty much everything that's in the kind of legendarium in the Silmarillion about the Dagor Bragalock. You even get stories. You find an archive. Okay, here we go. Extraordinary success. What was the name of your harp player?
Harp player?
Tet. Your guy. Your first stage guy.
Estadir.
Because he wandered away. Some written record of his songs and record of this has survived and made it to the Grey Havens. Where else would it be in Middle Earth? It'd be here. And you come across this like song, this lay of Beleriand, kind of outlining the Dagor Bragalock, the Battle of Sudden Flame, and how the population of Dwarthonion, which is like the northernmost forest kingdom of the elves in the first age. They were all displaced and kind of chased south, and they were harried and mostly destroyed by the forces of Morgoth. And that's like pretty much the beginning of the end of the first age. And you hear all this, and like you don't receive another vision, but you can put it, you can put these kind of epic battles and things together in your mind.
But bizarrely, towards the end of the song, there's this whole aside about how he's in love with someone who's not interested in him.
Why do you think I hate Celeborn so much? Personally. Dick.
Yeah, so Aerenduil is kind of heady with having just been in a little skirmish with bandits and having an ale with these two veterans of the War of Five Armies, and visions of elvish artifacts and ancient battles, and this script on the stone talking about ancient sites out in the ocean and things like that, and he is just enthralled by the history of it, and what he thought was going to be just gathering information up for further studying later turns into a full night as the candle kind of sinks lower and lower, and he is lost in the history of the Dagor Bragollach and everything that took place there, and he's just devouring it.
You do that until the wee hours in the morning, and you don't even realize like there's a bird outside on your window, and you like look outside and the sun has risen, and there's like the waves have kind of calmed from the storms over the past week, and you see that sparkling light out over the Gulf of Loon, and you realize it's the morning already.
Yeah, and he'll look out and he'll see that light starting to glimmer. Okay. Put your books away. Put your scrolls away. Gather yourself. He's talking to himself. And he rolls everything up and starts putting it back to where it belongs, with visions of these battles and these ancient adventures in his head as he rushes home to bathe and change before he has to meet his friends again.
Anything Finur, House Finur spending his time.
So Finur takes another couple of ales back with him to the bath he's had brought to his room, and he kind of sits back and relaxes with another couple of ales while he has his bath. It's really nice to finally wash the grime of the road off him. He's a little bit frustrated with himself being a bit off balance around Cirdan, but he just wasn't expecting to see him like that, and it really played into some of his insecurities that he met him while he was feeling so grubby. So he kind of he goes through in his head how he's going to behave the next day. Kind of prepares it all in his head how he's gonna act, and then he starts thinking about Hálmar, and he's quite worried about him. He's not going to press him on what happened to his family, but he knows how that kind of grief can weigh on someone, and it does concern him. But he knows also that time helps, and he doesn't know how much time Hálmar's had, but kind of thinks that maybe he can if they spend a bit of time together, he can keep Hálmar's mind on other things, or try to, and then give it a bit more time to heal. It's his hope. But eventually the bathwater starts to cool, and he gets out, dries himself off, and heads to bed, where he sleeps very soundly.
Very nice. What about Hálmar?
Hálmar does pretty much just what he said. He takes a bath, and he is not used to such comforts. He bathes in the stream with the cold, cold water. He doesn't come into town in Nevlon much at all. Very, very seldom. And when he does not usually stay. He sleeps in mostly on the ground or in his cottage with very little comforts. A rough spun blanket, a lumpy hay mattress. He almost likes it that way, and he feels quite out of sorts in the tavern, in the bath, his skin bristling with goosebumps as he gets out and looks down onto the left side of his body, covered in burned flesh, scarred from his neck to his knee. And he brings his right hand up to his face and looks at the missing fingers and wonders what happened and why. And sadly, he dries himself off and falls onto the bed, exhausted from the day, and falls asleep until late in the morning.
As you sleep, though, you kind of wake in the middle of the night, and it's almost as if you're having a fever. Like your brow starts to burn up and stuff, and you wake with a fright, like your feet are on fire, and nothing at all is there. But Hálmar, as you look down to your left hand, the mutilated part that's possibly partially covered with a dressing or an old rag, so to cut down on the stairs, it morphs into a fine hand, a strong hand, a noble hand that's been latched and shackled to what looks like a granite slab, a wall, or a cliff. And then you hear the sound of a scream, whoosh, a sword sound, and then the sound of an eagle. And then it all kind of goes away, and you fall, and you wake up with a start.
Yeah, he gasps as he sits up suddenly and breathes very heavy as he posts both his hands on the bed as he sits straight up, looking ahead. And
Almost as if you feel a shackle on your hand, but if you look at it, it's just the nub. It's just the half hand.
yeah, he flexes his fingers and looks around. It's only a dream. It's only a dream. That never happened. Not to you. Never happened. You remember all those days. Never happened. And he's just so exhausted, even that can't keep him awake, and he falls back asleep.
How guilty are you feeling about killing this guy? Because you want to be one step down your shadow path, or like we're already starting you there, right?
Yeah, he's already one down, right? I would say, I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, probably 5. I don't know.
Well, okay, give me a wisdom check, and a fail, you'll get 1 shadow point.
Okay, so I just click on wisdom.
It's just from the dream, from the dreams and the guilt.
Can I use hope?
No, can you use it on a shadow roll?
It's on a wisdom roll. It pops up, but that doesn't necessarily mean you can.
Yeah, you can use it. I'll look at that. I'll research that in between.
Okay.
I bet you can. That makes sense. You would use to tap your hope, right? It's fine. Fail.
Jeez, oh Pete.
Give yourself a shadow. I can do it for you.
Go for it.
Let me see if it has a sound effect or not. I've never used this one.
Did I
Nope.
already? So I already had temporary shadow. We haven't done anything to get rid of that yet, correct?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's the three of you. I think though, kind of in the morning, like as you wake up, Eldrin must have like went to bed way after you, and he's up before you. He's putting his boots on. Your sleep was fitful, Hálmar.
Is this Eldon that's talking to me?
Eldrin, yeah.
How do you know this?
I arrived after you fell asleep, and I've been awake since the rising sun. I met with
Yes.
Cirdan late into the night.
How did you know this? I just lay here all night watching you.
I was outside your window, trimming the verge. No. Hálmar says,
Oh, I did have some unpleasant dreams come to me. Not sure if it was something similar as when I touched the stone, but it rattled me. It was a vision of something that's never happened to me.
What was it? What did you see?
I was chained to a... I was bound to a chain, hanging on something. I don't remember, and then I fell. Out of time. Out of space. I don't remember well.
Ah, must have been the ale, the dwarvish stuff. Strong. Not meant for our kind. He chuckles a little bit. There is something I wanted to discuss with you, though.
What?
This artifact. Cirdan's counsel is wise, and I will follow his direction, but... Hálmar, this thing chose you as much as it chose myself, and... Such an artifact, Hálmar, I believe if it has power at all, surely it belongs with Edain, namely with the descendant of the men of Westernness. With my kin. If you disagree, I will not force your hand, but if you do support me, we must bring the elf and dwarf to our side. And then Lord Cirdan after that. Again, I will follow the wisdom of the council, but this place is fading, Hálmar. Beautiful, yes, but fading.
he looks very, very surprised.
I know not what you speak. Was there some disagreement between you and he?
It is an elven artifact. He believes it belongs with their kin. I suspect he will want to send it far to the east, the mountains, or even beyond, but I know not his full mind. Cirdan has walked this Middle Earth many a millennia longer than I. His ways are murky to me. I fear for the future. I have been touched with visions of flame and of doom.
I know you not, man. I do not know why you would ask me such things. And besides, what counsel could I give Cirdan and the others? I am only a forester. I am no one. An old soldier who has killed goblins at the age of 18 for one battle. Before that, I didn't even know how to hold a spear. And now I've fled across the misty mountains here, all the way here. What could I say? I am no one. What would he listen to my counsel? He would not. He needs not. He should not.
The fact that you speak at all speaks volumes, man. Indeed, in a battle by 18, no small feat, could not wield an axe, and yet you did. And you fled across the mountains. Mountains infested with goblins, the troll shawls. And now you're here, and just so happen to be chosen to find this thing. Though we know not what it is, if it has power at all, does it not belong with those of our kind who should be the stewards of this Middle Earth? Cirdan and his king, they are leaving. Their time here is through. I speak not in bitterness. Again, I will follow the wisdom of the council, but I have lived too many winters to leave this place not speaking my mind. Half-hand.
As you call him that, he kind of clutches at kind of rubs the top of his hand, which is covered by a glove, a worker's glove.
I know not of such things. I am a simple man. I will listen to the counsel of those older and wiser than I. Perhaps you should do the same.
I intend to, Hálmar. Very well. I will see you in the square. And he gets up and leaves for the morning.
Yeah, he watches him go. He feels kind of uncomfortable by that conversation a bit, and he scratches his beard with his good hand and thinks on it for a while, waiting for the others to show.
You guys kind of move on to the next morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I expect Aerenduil will be up.
Here's what the
Finur,
square, here's
so-
what the square looks like there again. Now, when I throw up that art, is that going on your guys' screens?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can move it, minimize it, do whatever you want with it.
Yeah. It looks like
Absolutely.
almost like a journal entry.
Okay. Okay, cool.
I mean, but
Yeah.
it doesn't have all that stuff with it, right? But yeah, we can do whatever we want.
Yeah, it's just the image.
Yeah.
It's nice. I like it.
I want the ability to like because it's easier to do this and just flash up art than like make scenes for everything, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. So unless you guys want to do anything else in the morning, the high square of Nevlon, the description's here. It's surrounded by a broad stone-paved street on all sides, and the Tower of Cirdan sits next to a beautiful square that's overlooking the sea. If you look out kind of to the west, the sea just seems to go on forever. The high square is paved with fish scale-shaped granite blocks and shaded by fragrant trees. On two sides, it's flanked by two notable buildings. On the north is the Hall of Turn and Gall, seat of the House of the Seabirds. This is where the sea captains of Mithlon meet after their travels to share their tales. On the southern side lies the Hall of Shells, an elegant abode with seashells and corals embellishing its outer walls, serving as the headquarters of the House of the Leaping Fish. The High Square is a charming and peaceful place, a sanctuary where elves can be found at any hour engaged in conversation, storytelling, or music. Let you guys kind of role play as you walk in there, and there's all sorts of people kind of around this square as you guys go in.
Okay. So, he as Finur sort of is approaching, he's kind of been preparing himself for the fact he's going to feel out of place here, and that everything here just feels very delicate and old, and and he spent enough time around elves that he's reminding himself that they're not trying to make out that they're better than him. It just that's just a lot of preconceived notions in his head that he's trying to dispel, and he's done this before, so he's kind of working through it.
And Aerenduil will start his morning off. He's refreshed himself, and he's at the first light. He's making his way down towards the square, and he's excitedly holding on to a couple of scrolls that he took with him that are in his bag, and he's holding on to them. Just like his image of him always carrying his scrolls around. That's what he looks like right now, as he's kind of taking just a slightly larger step than normal in his excitement as he heads down to meet the elf, the human, and the dwarf.
Yeah, Hálmar, as he goes to the square, he basically does so as he does most things, with his head hung low and trying to avoid as much attention as he can. He's very reticent to go to this meeting anyway, thinking he can provide nothing besides an account, and that's really all he's expecting to do, and he's nervous about speaking in front of everyone and that sort of thing. And in the back of his mind, he thinks about what the other man had said, Eldrin, and doesn't quite understand the importance of that, or why he would think Hálmar would have any kind of influence on anyone about that. But something puts him ill at ease with that conversation, even though he's not sure what that is.
You guys want to take a 5-minute break? I got
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sounds
Sleeper?
good.
Very good.
I need to play a Hobbit next. Next time I play TOR, it's got to be a Hobbit.
No more sad boys.
That's right. A Hobbit with a green hood. I've been reading The Hobbit to both my kids before bed.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, they're enjoying it. And we've been watching Lord of the Rings too, and Harrison is like super into it. He tells his kindergarten class all about it. He tells them about the Balrog, the Uruk-hai. It's hilarious. His teacher stopped me 2 days ago and started telling me about how he was going and telling everybody about the Lord of the Rings and talking about it for like a half an hour at a time. It was quite funny. So
That is awesome.
and like tonight, we've watched about half of the Two Towers as we're watching the extended editions too. Anyway, so I'm reading probably like 10, 15 pages into The Hobbit, and I'm like talking about how the dwarves are getting there, and one is Balin, right? So I was like, Balin, and they both look up, and they're like, he was the guy in the grave, Gimli's cousin that died, and like he cried. I was like, yeah. I was like, good memory. I was wondering. That was really kind of shocked me that they remembered to that level of detail.
They're going to start pointing out all the Easter eggs now.
Yeah.
And did you know he really broke his toe when he kicked that helmet?
The movies are wrong. Oh, I told Hartley about that part, but I mistook it. I didn't realize when it was going to be. It was actually when they thought that they were killed by the Rohirrim, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was like when they were fighting over Boromir. But like, yeah,
Oh yeah.
later on, yeah, I did mention, oh, there it is. He's like, he really broke his toe. I'm like, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like you kick that
That's
thing hard enough, probably would.
that's the Easter egg everyone likes to point out.
Hmm. Yeah, but they've been super into it. I've been like shocked.
They're great stories.
Hmm.
I mean, reading the actual books, how do they do with that?
Yeah. Well, Hartley read part of The Hobbit. I think he gets frustrated sometimes when there's like words that he truly. I mean, The Hobbit's pretty simple, but if you read it, there's some kind of odd verbiage in there from time to
Yeah, yeah,
time
yeah.
that I even have to like think of contextually to know exactly what that word means, you know. And so I
Yeah.
kind of get like where he's coming from. He gets like frustrated by a passage and has to reread it a bunch of times, and then he just doesn't want to. But he got past like he got past the troll part in The Hobbit where they all turned to stone, and I thought that that would be like something that would like spur him to want to keep going because that's kind of a fun scene. But apparently not. But they're more interested in me reading it right now, so.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That makes sense.
But I think I bought that book about a year ago because I thought he could handle it by then, and it's like a real nice, like it's illustrated, like with very hobbity kind of like, you know, kind of like childish pictures almost.
Yeah,
So
I've actually been
it's a
thinking
real
about
nice copy. But
the same thing recently. I've been wanting to get the Hobbit for Connor.
oh yeah, he would be able to do that, I think.
Yeah,
It was yeah. If next time you come over or whatever, I'll show it to you. It wasn't all
yeah,
that
cool.
much. It was like $30 or something.
Oh yeah,
But it's like it's got like the case is like kind of has that texture, bumpy texture to it, and it's like green.
hmm
And on the I think on the front is like a foil of a ring, right? And it's the Hobbit. So
now I've got to, since Aerenduil learned all about the Dagor Bragollach, I've got to do all this reading about it.
yeah, it's basically the when Morgoth attacked everybody and killed a bunch of Noldor. I'm guessing what Bo is alluding to the chain is Feanor. So the real Feanor, not cyberpunk Feanor. Was it Feanor? No, I don't think it was Feanor. Is one of
No, it was Maedhros.
yeah, it's one of the brothers, right?
It
And
was one of Feanor's sons.
yeah.
He was chained
Well,
to he was shackled to the Thangor to the fortress of Morgoth for like I don't know how many years, and then
Many years.
like an eagle and one of the other brothers saved him. They had to cut his hand off.
Didn't he cut his own hand off or something like that?
The brother cut it off. They had to save him.
well,
Fingon, I think. One of the
Aren-
things.
Aerenduil is reading it, studying up on it, and he's most excited about
And
the fact that
Maedhros was the one who held Himring the longest, and Himring was the last one to fall. And in Himring, it was the place that was never swallowed up by the sea. That's how it's going to fit together.
and now it's like a fortress sticking out of the sea,
Yeah.
or it was a fortress.
We're
Yeah.
ready to start.
I don't
I
think
just
Juan,
to
is
one
Juan
step
back?
away.
Yeah, I don't think he's back
He
yet.
went to make his tea.
I was telling Doc how I bought Hartley that copy of The Hobbit and how he got past the troll part, but he just is not into it, and he wasn't like to read it. I think some of the verbiage like threw him off, like some of the words used.
Yeah.
But I'm reading it to him now, both of them, so they're enjoying that.
Cirdan looks a little older than his token there.
Mm-hmm.
I like this one better, actually, though.
Yeah,
That's
I do too.
That's kind of how I'd see him, except with all the ornate robes,
Mm-hmm.
because he's more of like a sailor and builder. Did you guys meet Cirdan in that game we had with X and Rob and
I don't
and
think
them?
so. I do not believe so.
You guys came over and went up into that white tower that looks out across the sea, and Goody got like a vision of Valinor or something.
I don't think I was there with that. Wait, yeah, we were, but hold on. I don't.
It was a session that was like almost all like role play. I don't think there's that many roles.
Yeah, but I'm trying to remember the context of that. Where were we? I don't think we were this far west.
You went to the White Downs and kind of back. I think you didn't go all the way to the Havens. You went to that. There's a big tower there. That
Yeah,
used to have
didn't
a
we?
Palantir in it.
Yeah, didn't we see a group of elves going by that tower heading
yes,
west?
we did. We did.
Yes.
They were heading to the far lands.
They were making their trip to the Grey Havens, right? To leave.
So they could leave. Yeah, that's right.
Yes, I do remember that. Mm-hmm.
They're leaving all the time. In the book, it says like the ships leave on Tuesdays or something like that.
It's been many years since I've read The Hobbit, so it's interesting reading it again.
Yeah, the elves in the Hobbit are nothing like the elves in Lord of the Rings.
I haven't even gotten that far yet. I'm reading it to both the kids, so. But all the dwarfs just showed up at Bilbo's house. He's pissed. It's very specific, the colors of their cloaks. Tucking their beards into their belts.
Cooper goes, can't keep track of all these. I was like, you don't have to keep track that many. Just keep track of Thorin.
Yeah, that's true. Well, were you there when I was telling Doc at least that when Balin came in, they recognized like who that was from watching the movie, because they're watching the movies right now too.
Oh, okay.
So,
Cool.
Yeah, it's not just a little belt beard either. It's a good one.
It's a full on. Yeah.
What about Rings of Power? What does it look like in that? That's what you should have made it.
Dude, I've been kind of like, because I've been in Lord of the Rings
Um,
mood, I almost got tempted just to watch it, just like, because you just want a little bit of the feel. But then I looked at the art for it, like to even watch it on Amazon, and I was like, I can't do it. It looks like Days of Our Lives. It looks awful. I don't know. I'll make my own. Here we go. We're making our own stories, boys. That's how you have to do it, I guess.
It's
Galadriel shows up in armor, ready to fight.
So, let's see here. Let me find a good song for this one. This is kind of a opening theme one, I guess. So, everybody has filtered in. There's been some preliminary discussions about this thing. Some dwarves have come in besides you, Finor. Some elves from all around, like some ones that are dressed a little bit differently, even maybe from Greenwood the Great, from Mirkwood, are around. And we kind of pick up the scene in media res, and Cirdan is giving a talk, like you can see here, and you're seated around him. And the first stage. Let me see if I can show this to you guys. Show the players. There we go. In the first stage, the forges of Beleriand shone with unmatched splendor. The skill of Feanor and his kin wrought marvels beyond reckoning. The Palantiri, and other wondrous things to preserve distant memories of distant lands and bygone days. This, then he uncovers the shard, its faint blue light stirring like starlight on water, is one such relic. Some of you have seen visions of the Dagor Bragulak, the Battle of Sudden Flame. Not a battle, but a grievous defeat of our people at the hands of the Lord of Thangorodrim, whose name I will not speak. Legend tells of the Shard of Himring, long lost upon an isle far north and west. One of the few remnants of ancient Beleriand still above the waves. Now it has been recovered. But why do its visions awaken in this hour? It was not always hidden beneath the sea. Nay, I fear this is important. An ancient power stirs once more. His gaze turns upon the council, eyes heavy with the weight of years. In the early days of this age, I gave Narya the Ring of Fire to Mithrandir, for the time of the elves is waning. Yet two of the three still abide as bulwarks against the shadow, one in Imladris, one in Lothlorien. This precious work of our people should be borne to one of those havens, where the rings yet hold fast against time's weariness. My foresight falters here. I cannot discern which path is wisest. Yet here stands one of the Edain. You can see here that Eldrin clearly speaking the truth. He had a meeting overnight with Cirdan. Here stands one of the Edain, whose kindred fought alongside mine own in the first age. He speaks truly when he says the hope of this age lies with men, and the shard should go to the last scion of Westerness, the one called Thorengil. Still, I think an artifact of elvish craft is best kept in elvish hands. My desire is known. Now I would hear the voices of others, that my counsel may be weighed against those who think otherwise. He addresses all present. And there are other rumors. We have a captive. In word, that ill-favored men and worse are afoot near the gulf. There are hushed murmurs as the council is underway. So, I think I would like to kind of just run this council just from a narrative standpoint. I think at one point each of you would get asked your opinion, and even if it's just a report, if you feel comfortable or your character would feel comfortable giving an opinion, if they even have one, now is the time. The elves are very good about letting everybody speak. You wouldn't have been invited to this if your opinion wasn't valued. And I'll let it take it away.
Hálmar would
Finur's
actually
Oh,
not
after
speak.
you.
Yeah, sorry. Hálmar would most certainly try not to say anything or offer an opinion.
Finur sort of clears his throat and says, Lord Cirdan, I am most grateful to be given the opportunity to speak in front of such a council of the great and wise. I am but a humble messenger, and I hope that my crude words do not offend. My concern is less for this great and ancient artifact, which I will respect your word and opinion on. My greatest concern is for my people in the Blue Mountains. There are, as you have said, ill-favoured men in these parts, seen on the roads. Some seen looking for this thing, so perhaps associated with it. But there are worse. There are goblins in greater numbers than we have seen for a long time. And they threaten the lands of my people. I'm concerned for my people and for the peaceful lands of Aerenduil. I doubt they will threaten such a haven as this, but, well, and my people are secure in their lands, but the roads, the peaceful lands to the east of here, we all know that the town of Bree is not well defended. There are many travellers on the roads who are not well defended. I'm concerned. And even if my people are not threatened by invasion, they are threatened by being cut off from news from their cousins to the east. My own people are from the east, and well, as you know, the kingdoms of the dwarves are long scattered, and it is my belief that our future lies in unity, not in isolation. And anything that increases our isolation like this troubles me greatly. So I will not offer my voice in my opinion as to what to do with this artifact of your people, but I will ask your aid for keeping the roads clear and safe for my people and yours. Thank you all. And he sits down, kind of a little uncomfortable.
Thank you for attention to this matter.
Oh God.
Introduction bonus is 0. The Council of Cirdan. His resistance is going to be reasonable. Your time limit is 3. Give me a courtesy roll, and consider it inspired if you should choose to use hope.
Yes. Let's do that. And I think, what do I have here? I've got something about using hope. God, what was it? Cultural blessing, redoubtable. Ugh. These mastery. There is something I've got about using hope. I'm trying to remember what it is. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, well, I can't remember.
If it's getting doubled from inspiration anyway on this, it's probably not going to
Okay, no worries. Okay, let's do. Where's inspiration on this? How do I do inspiration on this? A bonus die?
So when you
Oh,
here. So when you go to roll it,
Mhm.
do hope bonus die. You put that in there.
I don't see that. Where's? Oh, just a bonus die. Yeah.
Or there should be a spot that says hope that you can click on.
Oh, hope point bonus die. I do see it, and then inspired.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, got it. Yep.
Take care.
Awesome. Hey, finally a success.
That's one success. So we are going to add one success. Here we go. You have 2 more attempts to get 2 more successes. So as you say that, there is more than a little murmuring around the council, and an elf that's not yet named, he seems to agree. This is actually from the books too. In the spring, there's like all these flocks out from around Linden up in the hills and stuff, and there's trade that goes back and forth from the Grey Havens and Bree, and even as far north as the Numenos, up in Lake Evendom. And this elf says, "I agree. Though we travel ever westward, we still do business with men and dwarves. Our relations are not long for this world, but let us live with them in peace during the time that we have. I agree. If we spare any resources, it should be to help secure this region." Eldrin uses this as an excuse to jump in and indirectly say, he introduces himself as Eldrin, and if you guys didn't know, now you know. Introduces himself as a man of Westerness, one of the Dunedain, whose bloodline goes back to Beleriand and Numenor after that. And he says, "Lord Cirdan is wise beyond measure, and I'm certainly wise beyond myself. But on this we do not necessarily see eye to eye. While we agree, and I think I agree with Master Dwarf, that the strength of the elves is waning, would it not be more prudent then, in order to preserve these lands, to send this artifact and any power it has to the leader of my people, the rightful heirs of the throne of the Southern Kingdom, a man known as Thorngil? It is by his hand and by the hand of men like myself that much of Aerenduil has been protected these many years. This labor of which you ask the elves is labor that has been forthcoming for over 900 years by my people. We welcome any gifts of aid the elves may lend." And he sits down. And the elves nod in agreement to this as well. Aerenduil.
Aerenduil will look around, and he stands somewhat sheepishly and nods. "My lords, I am very honored that someone of my age and status is allowed to sit here and converse amongst you about this finding that we made in the riverbeds. I can't pretend to understand what its significance is. I do know it's of ancient elvish origin, and of course, I will defer to you, Lord Cirdan. But if the human also makes a point that, yes, while others are already holding on to artifacts that will secure their lines, and maybe this does go in their direction, But of course, I cannot say, and I must defer to all of you here who have much more knowledge of this than I do. I'm honored, though, to be here and to learn from this interaction and to learn from your guidance in all of this. And he kind of looks around sheepishly and sits down, knowing he hasn't offered any kind of decision one way or the other. Other than he kind of agrees that it should go in the direction of the humans.
You have to make a roll. If you're trying to reason them into something, that's a riddle. And I will again let you do that inspired, and if you choose to use hope, it counts as a 2-for-1 deal. That's a great success.
Nice.
Oh, it gives you a little final result and everything. Okay. So let's kind of discuss. You don't have to do the entire thing in character.
Oh, is that because I got a?
Great successes too.
Oh, okay.
So that's it. So you have his ear and resources. You know, he's not going to clearly drop his agenda either. And so I think the discussion from here on out is, what do we want to do? Where are we going to send this thing is one. What resources are we going to go out to explore? What's the nature of the people that are after this? Who's doing it? What are they after? Were they after the shard? Were they after something shinier, perhaps round, perhaps golden? Perhaps there's only one of them. What's going on here? What's the sudden increase? And another elf steps forward, and he says, "I second the dwarf. I second the human. It's this evil is not only west of the Misty Mountains. It is descended again upon Greenwood the Great. After the battle of 5 armies, the shadow receded for a time, but now my father has sent me far and wide to spread the word. Evil again creeps into the southern eaves of Mirkwood. It is my task to travel to Mithlon, to Imladris, to the ruins of Tharbad, and as far south of the southern kingdom of Gondor to spread this word. But it is no tale. Wickedness again walks among the eaves of Mirkwood." And he introduces himself as Aglaron. Eldrin steps forward. "Very well then. Let us come to an agreement. Perhaps this thing should be sent to Thorongil by way of one of your elf lords. I do not know where he dwells." Cirdan puts forth a few feelers, saying, what are we going to do about the roads? What are we going to do about the bandits? And then during the course of this council, I think Lenny is probably questioned, given testimony as well. And so we have this Easterling that's hanging over everybody's heads as well. In character, out of character ideas?
Finur will offer his services to the council, however he may be of service. and says, he knows the roads here. He's happy to accompany this thing wherever they care to send it. And he just hopes that, he doesn't attach it as a condition. He's very careful not to attach it as a condition, but he does hope that the council will consider his request to look into what these goblins are doing and kind of help secure the roads. But he is very happy to offer his services to take this thing wherever it needs to go.
And Aerenduil, noting maybe a little bit of hesitation, especially from Cirdan, who believes it should be, stay with the elves kind of thing. Maybe others sitting around who also agree with that. Aerenduil will again stand, and I understand the desire for our kin to want this to go into the hands of the firstborn. It is, of course, something created by and holds our history. But it alone does not hold only our history. It does also hold the history of men. The visions I saw, men were fighting with us in those battles. Men died in those battles. And I don't know if it's due to my young age or the age that you have persisted to in this place. But men are the future of this world, as much as it pains me to say. As much as I want to be a part of this world and what happens here and experience the beauty, I know the direction we are going. I know the hearts of many of you are wanting to go west. And no one can blame you for that. But if we are to go west, we need to make sure that this is enshrined somewhere where it can be protected. And those men that are going to stay here, stay on this earth, they're the ones that can do that now. I know a lot of you don't see them as our equals at all times, that they are so young. They don't have the same knowledge or skill. And there's some hesitation there. But the same way that you see beauty and marvel at the birth of a fawn in the woods that is able to immediately stand up on its legs and run through the forests next to its mother. Humans with such young lives are born and able to stand on their legs and create empires, create beauty as well. They should be commended for that. And I think that we should allow them this opportunity to start taking control of what they're going to inherit. And I think that starts with this stone, Master Cirdan. Forgive me if I'm speaking out of line. I know I'm young. But it's because of that I see things differently. And he sits back down.
Finur whispers to Hálmar, I mean, it's a little bit patronizing, but his heart's in the right place.
I don't feel young.
Yeah, Cirdan looks at Aerenduil and Eldrin and Hálmar and Finur and says, "Very well. I have come to my decision. This shard and any power it possesses will be sent to TOR and Gil. If I know of whom you speak, then I know where he resides. He looks to Eldrin. Eldrin kind of looks at Cirdan. They give each other kind of a knowing nod, as if it's like maybe they do not want to say openly where Thorngel resides. And he says that they will retire for the evening, and they will send words by messenger what the plan will be going forward.
Right.
And Evan will stand and nod at the others, acknowledging everyone's presence there.
Anything you want to do before we have a week-long fellowship phase? And I'm going to give everybody 5 XP and 5 SP or whatever. So 5 and 5, whatever they're called. Because I wanted to bring it up to 8, so you can actually buy something if you want to change your stats. So I'd like to do a quick fellowship phase, and then kind of plan what we'll be doing next session or two, and maybe even look at the first couple legs of a journey, and then we could call it a night if you would want to do that. Sound like a plan?
Yeah.
Sounds good. Yeah.
All right, let me see here. Get a little more something upbeat going on.
Our fellowship is 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
3 plus 1.
So I'm very new to how all this works, so I'm going to need some guidance.
Okay, so let me just think about what he want to do. Put on both your in character and out character thinking caps. Help your game master here. So he wants to either send it to Elrond or Galadriel, because those two are kind of the last two bastions of Elvendom, and they have the 2 rings, and he thinks it will help them stand against the shadow longest to cover their retreat and for all of Middle Earth. And clearly Eldrin thinks that he doesn't know what it does. He's kind of dumb in this, but he's like, yeah, it needs to go to my boss, right? Now it seems that you guys have swayed him that maybe this should go to the king, Aragorn. Nobody knows where he is necessarily, except Eldrin and Cirdan right now. So what I think they would do would be send out a team up to Himring just to investigate it, and then a bunch of sorties out, so nobody knows which direction this thing's going. And the ones that don't actually have the shard are probably bait to try to draw in the baddies. And whoever has the shard would be going by secret ways. So, where would you guys like to be?
You mean with which group?
Well, Finur is going to be happy to go with it wherever it's sent. He was more of the opinion that it was an elvish thing and it should go to the elves, but he also acknowledges what Aerenduil said, which is the time of the elves is kind of over. But to him, he doesn't really see the significance of this. To him, it's some kind of elven memory magic as far as he can make out. So he's kind of like, yeah, whatever. And he still thinks people want it because it's valuable, So he doesn't much object to it, but and he expects that whoever they're dealing with will be bandits. And what he's seeing this as is the elves sending a present to humans and saying that this is a symbolic thing to say that we see you as our successors and as the guarantors of peace in Middle Earth. And he's like, yeah, whatever. Bit rude to the dwarves, but fine, we're used to it. He's hoping that his goodwill gesture will be a reminder that it would be nice to keep the road safe for the dwarves, but and for everyone else. But that's as far as he sees it. So he's happy to go with it. He's along for the ride. He's not expecting that much danger, and he's going to get a shock.
How much is the thoughts of his past and wanting to go back into battle and have adventure again creeping on Hálmar? Or does he just want to go back to his log village?
Oh, I think he's very much very fearful of this. He is not real excited about having anything to do with this. In fact, he would not expect to have anything to do with this unless somebody told him otherwise. He doesn't know why he would go anywhere. He would just go back to doing what he's always done while he was here. He is the one thing though that I could even roleplay this is let me think about this for a second. So I guess like during this council he might even say I don't know if he would say anything, but he would come maybe to his companions after and to Aldrin and ask, do you think these lords of high status can tell us what these visions mean of mine if I told them, and could they see if they were my visions, what happened to me, or something else? If it is me, then I would be sad, but it would be almost like a relief to know what happened. And he doesn't really say specifically what he means by that, but
yeah, Finur knows less of this than Aerenduil, but he'll speak first out of concern for his friend and sort of says, I'm sure they would. Lord Cirdan is wise, and such things are of the elves. Am I right, Aerenduil? And he looks across at him, and you can see Aerenduil in his eyes is some real concern for his friend.
And then we'll look at both of them. As far as your visions, I cannot say what they might interpret of them for you. If you were truthful and honest with them, if you could get rolls everywhere.
can't take him seriously.
If you were truthful, opened up, I know you're reluctant to speak of your past, friend. They might be able to give you insight into what you've seen, especially if it was triggered by something of elvish make. I don't pretend to understand how it works, but one's lived as long as Master Cirdan and others. They have an insight into things that we can only imagine. I think if you allowed yourself to reflect and some vulnerability, to give them what you know and what you've seen, if nothing else, maybe their words could bring you some semblance of peace and direction.
He sighs. Well, if that is what it takes to understand what I've seen and what I keep seeing, I haven't even had a chance to speak of it to you. But I had another dream. Another dream. And this was certainly not of me, however. I was tied to a great fortress by the wrist, and I fell. There was an eagle, and I woke up, but I do not understand.
I think that is something Master Cirdan would definitely have some acknowledgement of, at least. These dreams sound more like portents. They sound like visions of some kind. That is not a random dream that one man has simply after a bad night and some ills with a dwarf friend. That is someone telling you something, especially after everything that's happened to us. The discovery of this artifact is giving us information. And the information that you're getting is worth discovering and delving into. Not hiding and pushing down. If we're going to be safe, and if you're going to be whole, then those visions that are coming to you need to be understood. Alas, I can't help you understand them, but, again, those long-lived of the Firstborn, especially Master Cirdan and others, they may just be able to do that.
He just nods and kind of falls into a silence, just thinking about that. But he hasn't made a decision now.
And Master Dwarf, I know you said that you were concerned about the dark men and the orcs and goblins you've seen, especially up through the Blue Mountains.
Aye.
Well, my visions also took me in that direction. Whatever direction this artifact might go in, I'm sure it will be well protected by Master Cirdan and whoever he sends with it. We need not follow the artifact. And out of concern for, of course, you and your people, and maybe a little selfish on my part, the inscriptions on it talk about Himling, which is also up in that direction, to the north, just past the Blue Mountains. Part of me wants to join you in your travels up that way to see what these visions, again, like I was advising our friend here, they need to be explored and understood. These visions that I had of Himling, I want to understand them as well. And that takes the journey north. So, which direction to go in, I don't know. But for personal and selfish reasons, I would like to understand why I'm having visions such as I've had. And I know you are eager to go that direction as well.
That I am. In all conscience, I have offered my services to Lord Cirdan if he wishes them. But also my heart would rather take me in the direction of helping my friends than taking a keepsake.
Well, they can be
Safety.
one and the same. You are helping your friends by protecting those roads, by clearing these hills of the evil that lies in, and at the same time, helping me figure out what these visions mean can only be helpful to Cirdan and our people and the rest of the people of Middle Earth here.
Aye, that is the direction I meant to help you two. But also, if this is a place near the lands of my people, connected to this thing, and well, I have more of a sense of foreboding than I have had until now. I would very much like to go with you and find out what is behind this.
Well, Himling is an isle off of your lands, not far away. But still, it is a boat's journey we would have to take. But again, I believe that...
He scratches his beard and looks a bit uncomfortable.
Maybe not.
Well,
but it is something that involves my people and yours.
Aye. Well, we all serve our people, do we not? And this...
Here is Himling.
I see. Okay, great. So, yeah, so Finur says, well, two friends of mine are troubled by visions, and this may well be linked to the evil that is abroad in the world. I think my path is clear. Unless Lord Cirdan requires me to go with this thing where it is being taken to safekeeping, then I will travel with you two, my friends, and discover what the source of these visions is, and maybe find out a little bit more about why this thing is sought by those who haunt the roads.
If there's anything else, I think we might just end it there, and then we can do a little out of character chat.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's fine.
All right. Let's see here. So, what I think we'll do is we'll open up the next session. Let me stop mine.